This is Dave, and I'm here with Ethan, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 253-inch.
On this episode, we interview Mike Solton, Weird Al's actual close personal friend of over 5 decades.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird
It's
Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Well, a big hello to you, Ethan.
And hello to you too, Dave, and welcome everyone to episode 253-inch. And by the way, a huge congratulations to us.
Yay, us. All right, so shortly after the release of our last episode, episode 252-inch, we hit a huge milestone number for podcast downloads.
When we started this podcast nearly 6 years ago, Dave, we had hoped that we'd be able to reach the best and brightest Weird Al fans across the globe and share our love of Weird Al and his music and everything else he does with them.
And you, our wonderful listeners, sure responded and overwhelmingly embraced us, and for that, we love you and thank you.
Just like our theme song recorded by the Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West says, you don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
So while we congratulate each other on reaching this incredible milestone, we really couldn't do it without all of you. So from all of us here at Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, a heartfelt thank you to all of you for listening, supporting the podcast, and being our friends.
Wow, can you believe it? 10 whole downloads. I never even thought we'd reach double digits.
I am getting teary-eyed just thinking about it.
And I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about how weird the Al Yankovic story didn't win an Oscar again!
Well, I'm just upset it wasn't even nominated again. Well, you know what? Let's just move on to what's happening in Weird Al-related news.
Attention listeners in California, Minnesota, and Georgia. 3 tour dates have recently been announced for Weird Al's upcoming Bigger and Weirder tour.
Weird Al revealed tour dates in Riverside, California, and Waite Park, Minnesota.
The Riverside, California show happens right smack in the middle of his Las Vegas residency on June 17th at the Fox Performing Arts Center.
Huh. I guess Al just wanted to get out of Sin City for an evening.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's ever anything going on in Las Vegas that's worth sticking around for.
Well, you know what? At least he'll be near his home if he wants to stop in, water the plants, or do some laundry after a grueling 4 days on tour.
Ah, poor Al. I'm glad he'll have that chance. And while Weird Al has just announced the September 11th show at the Ledge Amphitheater in Waite Park, Minnesota, that show was actually technically already reported by our very own Aaron 3D Henry back on February 18th in our official Facebook group over at group.2000inch.com.
You know, Weird Al should really consider checking our official Facebook group and our other social media accounts for all the latest news on him.
Another stop added to Weird Al's tour is the Shaky Knees Festival in Atlanta, Georgia on Sunday, September 21st.
The Shaky Knees Festival is a 3-day festival, and Al will be part of Sunday's lineup, along with Devo, 4 Non-Blondes, and Blink-182, among others.
With these newly announced and newly revealed tour dates, that puts the total number of concerts on Weird Al's Bigger and Weirder 2025 tour to 75 shows. And that includes that one pesky concert still marked as TBA on September 19th.
I'm holding out that the September 19th concert is a private concert just for me in my living room.
Wait, what if it really is that? Will you let me come and watch?
Well, you're just going to have to see what happens when tickets go on sale.
Ah.
LA artists are once again coming together to raise money for the Los Angeles wildfire relief.
Weird Al will be part of Let's Get L.A.'d, which is a night of music and comedy coming up on Sunday, March 16th at the United Theater on Broadway in Los Angeles.
Proceeds from the event will benefit firefighters who help battle the fires, as well as wildlife and people displaced by the fires.
In addition to Weird Al, other acts scheduled to perform include Puddle's Pity Party, Reggie Watts, Tim Heidecker, Margaret Cho, Alex Edelman, and Monty Python's own Eric Idle.
For tickets and more information, head on over to theunitedtheater.com.
And speaking of wildfire relief, on the last episode, we reported that Weird Al teamed up with the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band on February 11th for a benefit concert.
What didn't make it into our episode was that at the event, Weird Al sang Jenny 8675309 with the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band and a guy in the audience. Plus, Weird Al also joined the full ensemble to perform The Wait by the band.
Wait, why did you say that didn't make it into our episode? I absolutely remember us saying that.
Well, as it turns out, our stupid intern Frank thought our great listeners might not want to hear that information for some unknown reason, and he edited it out of the episode.
What?
And it was absolutely not because we recorded the episode before the event happened and had no way to know what was going to happen during an event that didn't happen yet.
Ah, yes, because as you know, we record each and every episode live. So long as you listen the moment that the episode drops, you're hearing everything as it unfolds live and in real time.
I mean, this is all common knowledge, of course. Why are we even saying it?
I don't know, but certainly not to explain why we seemingly didn't report on what songs Weird Al sang at the benefit concert the night before our episode dropped. But wait, I'm confused. How did intern Frank even edit a live episode?
Unclear. He just somehow did. He pushed some button or something. I don't know the specifics.
Ugh, what a jerk! That's so weird!
Well, to watch the full event and donate to the cause, you can head on over to the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band's YouTube channel.
Oh, wow, that sound means that we've got a call on the 347 Spatula Hotline, the official hotline of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Well, I hope this call is in some way relevant to the last news story. All right, let's hear it, intern Frank.
Last night, I was lucky enough to see Weird Al play with the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band again. But this time, though, was way cooler because I was right up front against the stage. And throughout the entire show, Al was sitting on the floor just off stage, just like enjoying the entire show before it was his time to come up on stage. So he comes out and he sings 8675309. Then it gets towards the end of the song. He was doing like a call and response, 8675309. Then he'd point the mic at his mic towards the audience, and they'd sing it back to him. But then he goes, "Just this guy," and points directly at me. And then he got within inches of my face, kind of like smiling, give me encouragement, before I belted out my 8675309. And the entire crowd cheers. Al nods at me. The song finishes, Al runs off stage, and then Jess McKenna starts chanting, Kurt crushed it, with the entire crowd and Middle Aged Dad Jam, joining in. An absolutely unforgettable Al moment. It ranks right up there with, I was lucky enough to be an extra in the Perform This Way music video, and I was also lucky enough to dress as Al for the New York Times photo shoot. This ranks right up there. It is, if you ever get a chance to see Middle Aged Dad Jam Band, 100% go and see them. With or without Al, just go and see them. But there is just something electric about Weird Al getting up on stage for one song in a tiny venue, just killing it. He did such an amazing job. And just Al at 100%, 110%, and then running off stage. It was an absolutely fantastic night. He came back out at the end of the show where, when everybody comes out to sing the finale song. But man, what a fantastic night. And as always, Weird Al is just the best.
Kurt, thank you so much for the call. It sounds like the concert was a blast. And I know from personal experience how incredible a Middle-Aged Dad Jam Band show can be.
Me too. I definitely recommend checking out the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band. And be sure to check out Kurt's podcast, Paranormal Almanac. probably wherever you're listening to our podcast currently.
GalaxyCon recently announced that Weird Al will be attending all 3 days of the December 5th through 7th, 2025 GalaxyCon in Columbus, Ohio.
Other GalaxyCon events that Weird Al will be at include Richmond, Virginia on March 28th through 30th and St. Louis, Missouri on October 10th through 12th.
For more information on these GalaxyCon events, you can head over to galaxycon.com.
Also recently announced, Weird Al will be taking part in Fanboy Expo Orlando 2025 at the Orange County Convention Center on September 26th through 28th.
Now, considering the last concert announced on the Bigger and Weirder tour is September 25th in Clearwater, Florida, it doesn't look like Weird Al even gets 24 hours to rest before he's back out taking pictures and signing autographs again.
Ah, the life of a celebrity.
Well, at least we now know for sure that the Clearwater, Florida show is officially the last show of the tour.
But do we really?
While I consider that, feel free to head over to fanboyexpo.com for more information on the convention.
On Wednesday, February 26th, listeners of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast started reporting that Weird Al's Facebook page was missing.
Later, Weird Al mentioned on his other social media accounts that his Facebook account got hacked and his page had been deleted, but he hoped to get it resolved soon.
See, now this is why you should never click on any email with the subject Stinky Cheese.
I thought for sure this would somehow be intern Frank's fault.
I mean, that's a given. Why should we even mention it?
Stupid intern Frank.
Well, Weird Al's page was down for approximately 48 hours before it was finally restored on that Saturday.
After it was restored, Weird Al posted, "Apologies for all the weird random garbage that got posted to my feed in the last 48 hours. Unfortunately, my Facebook account got hacked. But I've got control once again, so I just wanted you to know that going forward, all the weird random garbage will actually be coming from me."
Well, from all of us here at Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, we're glad to see that Weird Al's Facebook page is back, and he's back to posting random garbage again.
I just have one last question. Do you think he phoned Mark Zuckerberg up at home and made him do his tech support?
He probably called Bill Gates.
This episode is brought to you in part by Vegan Burrito Restaurant, Burrito, home of the 2-pound double wrapped quesadilla burrito, and Wizard Burger in Albany, New York. Come on down to Burrito, and Wizard Burger for mouthwatering, loaded, dare I say, beefy vegan burgers. From Albany to Uranus, Burrito, and Wizard Burger feed the hunger with out-of-this-world plant-based real food, always vegan style. Visit burritosquare.com and wizardburger.com to order ahead.
Weird Al has been the subject of a few more questions on Jeopardy recently.
First up, on February 11th, in the category of Them's Fighting Words, the $400 answer was, relating to a time between ancient and modern, Weird Al warned he'd get this on your hiney in Amish paradise.
The contestant Isaac, who looks suspiciously like Classic Al with his glasses and mustache, correctly buzzed in with, "What is medieval?"
Now, next up on February 27th, in the category of songs about buildings and food, the $800 answer was a breakout hit for Weird Al Yankovic. It mentions Cap'n Crunch and tuna casserole, among other foods.
The contestant Seth correctly buzzed in with, "What is Eat It?"
You know, these questions aren't nearly as difficult as the easy questions UH Jeff wrote for Weird Al Jeopardy.
A new animated show on Apple TV, Goldie, premiered on February 14th and features a slew of cameos, including a certain familiar voice actor.
That's right, Henry Winkler lends his voice to an episode of the show, but more importantly, so does Weird Al.
As far as we know, Weird Al voices the characters RoboChef and Roy G. Biv.
Unfortunately, intern Frank changed his Apple TV password and hasn't told us the new one yet, so we haven't been able to independently verify this yet, but we can't wait to check it out.
Ooh, that no good rotten intern Frank.
And now it's time for what's happening in Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West related news.
Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West has announced that he's collaborated on the global music album Sounds of Kumbah and shared a preview on his social media with a promise of more to come.
The Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West and Brian Gore, guitar poet, have collaborated and released a single, No Going Back, which is now available to buy and stream digitally.
And now it's time for what's happening in Dave and Ethan's 2008 Weird Al Podcast related news.
On February 28th, Matt and Matthew of the Weird Algorithm Podcast released their epic episode all about Albuquerque.
That's right, the episode features our close personal friends, U.H. Jeff and Kelly Phillips, and two quite handsome Weird Al Podcast hosts tackling different sections of the song.
Aw, Dave, thanks for calling me and one of the Matts handsome.
Oh, I forgot you were on the episode with me.
Hey!
You know, lately it feels like we've been on the Weird Algorithm Podcast more than we've been on Dave and Ethan's 2008 Weird Al Podcast.
Remember, Dave, that is intern Frank's fault.
Oh, no, of course, I remember that.
Well, be sure to check us out right here, like you're already doing, and also over there on the Weird Algorithm Podcast.
And now it's time for what's happening in Close Personal Friends of Dave and Ethan's 2008 Weird Al Podcast related news.
Summer Woods has a brand new album out on streaming right now called Sunshine, I Swear.
And who better to tell us all about it than Summer Woods herself?
Oh my gosh! I suddenly appeared on the podcast. Hello.
Hey, Summer, welcome back. Nice to hear from you.
Hi, it's so nice to be back.
This is so exciting. Your brand new album, Sunshine, I Swear, as we were just talking about during the news, is out now. But if people want to get the physical copy, they can pick it up on Kickstarter. And there's a couple different ways. And just tell us about the album.
Well, it is my first, big album. It's my first full-length album, as they say, an LP. I think that was my cat. I think she wants to be on the podcast. But it is a collection of songs that I've written over the past literally 6 years. So it's a lot of it's the tapestry of my life for the past half decade or so, including a very special song that every Weird Al superfan will know called "Take Me Down."
Now, even if that wasn't on the album, Summer, we'd still want to talk to you, but that makes it extra exciting.
Now, I know you had recorded a demo version of Take Me Down a while back. Is this the demo version, or is this a brand new recording?
I sent the mixes to my producer, Mitch. Shout out, Mitch. I think he just sweetened a few things. Like, he kind of remixed it and just made it a bit more, beautiful sounding to the ears, and so it's similar to the demo, but I think it's just a bit sweetened.
Oh, awesome.
So it's slightly newer and slightly more improved, and I think the first time it's ever gotten a physical release now with this Kickstarter.
Yes, for this sparkly version.
I love it. You can check out the updated version of Take Me Down streaming right now, but I can't wait to get that physical version. You've got CDs, cassettes, and vinyl as well. Oh, I love it. My collection is going to explode with happiness.
And let me also mention your hit song Pasadena's on the album. You also have a song featuring Creed Bratton from The Office. I mean, this is a killer first LP, as you've said.
Yes, thank you. That was an insane moment of my life too, because I posted, by the way, Creed Bratton has his own amazing music, which I love so much, which you will hear if you watch the final episode of The Office, has a beautiful song by him. But basically I did a cover of one of his songs, and then he only saw it 3 years later, and he was like, "Hey, you want to sing with me?" And I was like, yes, let's go. So now I've got him on the album, and it's just
Oh, that's insane. That's so cool.
We're just bosom buddies now.
So cool.
So looking at the Kickstarter, there's some really interesting stuff. We mentioned the CD, the cassette, the vinyl.
Yes.
You also have some other stuff. I'll list it off. You've got a poster, a thank you note, thank you on the album, a USB with all the tracks and the full discography. But people can also get a custom song, pencil portrait, and or custom concert.
Yes indeed.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
What if someone in Antarctica wants you to do a custom concert and they buy that tier? Will you go to Antarctica?
I will have to discuss it with the Antarctican government, but I believe so, yeah.
Okay. I was considering A, moving to Antarctica, and B, having you do a concert there. So good to know that it's possible.
possible.
We'll have to further discuss it.
Well, all these tiers are amazing. I'm having a little difficulty deciding which tier I want to support. I mean, I want the vinyl, I want the poster, I want it all. Is there any way I could maybe get a custom reward?
This is true because I am a total noob with Kickstarter, and I had no clue what I was doing when I set it up. So if you want, I intended it for all the rewards to be cumulative. So if you get a vinyl, you also get the CD, you also get the handwritten note, everything under it. But if you only want a vinyl and a CD, then literally just email me. My email's on my website. You can have, basically whatever you want. As long as you donate to that certain tier, I'll give you whatever you want underneath it.
That is so awesome.
Now, there's something else I want to mention that you just released recently over on your YouTube. It looks like you interviewed Weird Al in your garage. Can you tell us about that?
I did. Can you believe that really genuinely totally happened? And
Wow.
I really had him in my garage right there, interviewing him. And
Crazy.
yeah, it was really interesting. And sometimes when I asked him things, he would just say things that he said before, but like in a new context. It was an interesting video that came out of it. And some people accused me of kidnapping him and forcing him to talk positively about my album, but trust me, he genuinely loves it.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah, I mean, there's no way that this interview in your garage is any sort of editing trickery or green screen. Like, this is authentic. I can tell.
Yeah, it's totally authentic. He was so nice to hang out in my garage for a while. The invoice was not cheap, but
Oh, we know.
yeah.
It's so nice to have you back on. Summer, we need to do a full episode with you, so please come back.
Yes.
Please join us again.
Yes, absolutely.
In the meantime, we are going to all head over to summerwoodsmusic.com. From there, we can get to the Kickstarter to support Sunshine, I Swear. We can get to your YouTube, your Patreon, your Bandcamp, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We can get everywhere from your website, summerwoodsmusic.com. And we cannot wait. And, I really like the level where someone can get your new album plus a CD from your back catalog of their choice. And I think if people do that, they should definitely pick up Chihuahua Hat, since the cover art is just so beautiful. And I don't even know who's on that cover, but if it was Dave and I on that cover, how great would that be?
Wait, who... Are you two on the cover? Did you sneak onto my album art? How did that happen?
You remember when you got that email with the subject Stinky Cheese, Summer?
Oh, yeah, and then my computer got like this horrible virus, and then somehow you appeared on the art that I was uploading. I remember that now. Yes.
Well, so people can check that out. They can check out all of your music and all your other great content. SummerWoodsMusic.com. Summer, thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you doubly for having me join you.
Thank you so much for all that exciting information about your new album, Summer. This album is a must-have for Weird Al collectors, so head on over to Kickstarter and support this project.
And now, let's check out our first installment of a delightful interview chock full of anecdotes and never-before-heard Weird Al information from his early days. All right, Dave, take it away.
Ethan and I are very excited to welcome a very special guest to Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. He has known Weird Al for over 5 decades, has been intertwined in Weird Al's life for these 5 decades, contributed to so much in the Weird Al universe. It is our great pleasure to welcome Mike Solton to the podcast. Hey, Mike, how is it going?
Oh, it's going great. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I think you guys are doing a great service to Al, the band, and the fans, and I'm very happy to be here. And I guess that after more than 250 shows you guys have done, you finally ran out of people to talk to.
Well, Mike, we are just honored to have you on the podcast. We were really excited. We got to meet you a couple years ago at Weird Al's show in Hawaii, which was an incredible show and a great place to meet. And we're so excited to hear about, really growing up with Weird Al and what Al was like in high school and these fun, pranks and other things that you guys did together and the comedy you guys did together. And I know we'll hear all about that. And we just are so excited because there's so much to discuss. And we would love for you to start us off. Where does it begin? Where did you meet Al? How did this all start?
It all started at Hostler Junior High School in Linwood, California. I believe that was in 1971.
Wow.
Wow.
I have visited that middle school.
Really?
When I went through Linwood, I visited Al's old house. I didn't go up and knock on the door or anything, but I saw the house. I went to the high school, and I went to the middle school. I've done that twice. Not to be creepy or anything.
Right.
Just to admire where Mike and Al first met.
Oh, okay. How sentimental. So I have some fond memories of Al growing up, especially at Linwood High School. So Hostler was 7th grade, 8th grade. Linwood High started in the 9th.
Now, Mike, do you remember the first time you actually saw or met Al, what that interaction was?
I don't. My memories going back, I can remember us in class together and making fun of teachers and things like that.
So you guys, it sounds like you guys were just classmates and became easy friends because you had similar tastes and senses of humor and it just got along pretty easily.
Yes, exactly.
I'm sure you're going to get into this, but at what point did you start actually hanging out with Alan? Would you have considered him your friend? Was it in middle school or did that come later?
I think we were friends starting in 7th, 8th grade, but I think we became much closer when we went to high school. So most of my memories with him are starting around high school time.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah. And there's one particular class we had together. It was an English class, and the teacher's name was Dr. Gibson. And he was a little bit overweight, as they say, a little portly or stout. And our affectionate nickname for him was Dr. Fat.
Wow.
And
very
of course
clever.
Very clever. We never called that, never to his face, but you couldn't really see his face, but anyway, so this class he was really big on vocabulary, and we would have to sort through the newspaper and find articles with words we didn't know and circle them in red and make a little vocabulary book. And I remember Al sitting, he sat 2 seats in front of me in the class. And I don't know why I remember this, but I remember Dr. Gibson asked the class, he said, "What is the antonym to antagonist?" And Al raised his hand and he said, "Protagonist." And I thought, my 16-year-old self thought, wow, how did he know that? And so I thought Al was a little precocious back then. And of course, he skipped a grade, so he was a year younger than most of us.
Right.
Yes.
What grade did he skip? Was he originally in your... So Al's a year younger than you, is that...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. And Dr. Gibson, he loved to... Well, he had a great laugh, and he would... in a very deep laugh, and he would say things like, well, if you want to be part of the intelligentsia, you have to learn more vocabulary. And he was very entertaining, and he was actually a really, really good teacher. And it's interesting. I hear some of Al's early songs, and some of the words we learned in that class, I'm pretty sure he got from the Dr. Gibson class.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, that was an interesting experience.
That's funny.
As a high school student, was Al sort of the outgoing personality that he is when he's up on stage, or was he more shy and reserved?
He was definitely more introverted.
Yeah.
But he loved to make people laugh. Once we became pretty close friends, I don't think he had a lot of close friends back then. And I remember him coming to my house for a birthday party. And I had a group of friends there, including Al. And my dad had his big fancy 8 millimeter film recorder. And he took some footage, and I still have that footage. And Al gave me this plastic mouse with big ears. And you can see him kind of flipping the mouse's ears, and we're both laughing. And
Wow, how precious.
so, if you ever want to see that footage, let me know.
Wow, I would love to. Yeah. You don't even have to ask that question, Mike. Yes.
From now on, Mike, the answer is if you ever want to see, we're going to automatically say yes.
Okay. Okay, it's a yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing, when we were young, I remember being able to go to Al's house. And as you know, Al's mom was very, very protective as far as who could come to the house.
Yes.
I think she might have done a background check on me or something.
Wow.
But yeah, she was very watchful of Al. And I remember one time, as a prank, I think it was my idea. I'll take the blame. I said, Al, let's cut some holes in the Dixie cups and watch your mom's reaction. So she took a Dixie cup, put water in it, leaked everywhere, and then I got a big glare. But I still was able to go to Al's house, so that was okay. I didn't get cut from the list.
Right. You weren't bounced from the Yankovic household.
Right. No. Yeah. And I remember playing pool with Al in his basement, and he had a dog named China, and China would be running all around, kind of a hyperactive dog. And, back then I was a pretty good pool player. And my sport was ping pong. So I had won a ping pong tournament at Linwood High, and I remember sitting in the bleachers, and they gave it all the sports trophies, the baseball and basketball, football, and regular sized trophies. And then they called me to pick up the ping pong trophy, and this trophy was humongous. like the biggest trophy there.
That's amazing. I thought you were going to say it was like the size of a ping pong ball.
You would think. And so, it just goes to show you that ping pong pays off. But the thing is back then I got very excited because I was pretty good at ping pong. So my dad took me and some friends, including Al, to a ping pong club. And these kids, 9 or 10 years old, they're really good. And so it kind of took my ping pong ego back down to earth. when a 10-year-old's kicking your butt.
Right.
So anyway, have good memories of that.
Now, was Al playing ping pong as well?
Yeah, Al was pretty good too.
He was good, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was great.
How about pool? Was he decent at pool as well?
Yeah. He was much better than me at pool, and I think I was better at ping pong than him. But he was very competitive.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
There was something that came up a couple years ago, Mike, about Al in high school. Apparently, in 9th grade, he was in a math class with this girl, Patrice. Last name starts with a Y. And
Patrice.
Do you know this story, where I'm going with this?
No, I don't, but I remember I remember that name.
So apparently Al had a crush on this girl, and she sat in front of him in math class in 9th grade. And he, to try and impress her, he drew a portrait of her, but he didn't want her to realize he had a crush on her. So to kind of cover it up, he ended up drawing a portrait of every single person in class. And so this woman, Patrice, still has that pencil drawing portrait, and she posted it on Twitter a couple years ago, and Al saw it and retweeted it and told the story. And so I was wondering if perchance you happen to remember that happening, or were you in that class by any chance?
No, I don't remember that. I don't. I guess I missed that one.
Yeah. Well, bummer, because I'm sure you would have that portrait if you had.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, back then we also had our made up language with Al, myself, and a few other friends. So we had our made up language, and then also some words for the dirty words. So as you know, Al never cusses, so
Right.
he didn't have to cuss back then because he just used one of our words, our made up words.
Oh, smart.
I think famously, I believe it's on an Ask Al on the Weird Al website in the archives. Al mentions something about this language, and he doesn't say much about it, but he does say that one of the phrases or the words is earbooker, which of course people will see as like, the name of Al's company, and you see it at the end of the Weird Al show, and the earbooker polka is a name that is on albums and stuff. So I think when asked about it, the only thing Al said was earbooker is when your ear has been sufficiently booked.
Yeah, that sounds that sounds right.
Is that
right?
Is there more to it than that, or is there? Can you tell us the unofficial or the official translation?
Yeah, no, I don't think Al would mind. This is one that was just kind of a funny thing we made up. Like Al said, when something books your ear or your ear gets booked, basically it just means.
Okay.
So that's all. There's nothing really too intricate about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Al's answer, he essentially told us the answer without telling us the answer.
Right. Essentially, yeah. But I can't tell you the meaning of air. That I'd have to kill you.
Oh, air. How do you
Air. It's the word air. But if something is air, uh-oh.
Oh no. Is it AIR or ERR?
Yeah,
Okay.
AIR.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
So the next time you talk to Al, ask him the meaning of air.
Uh-oh.
I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to, Mike.
I'm afraid to too. I hope he doesn't get mad at us.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, Mike, did you ever catch Al sneaking any of these, phrases or words that you guys invented into any of his songs or movies or anything like that?
No.
No,
Never,
okay.
never noticed that. Yeah. No, didn't make the cut.
Was there a glossary, or was it just all a verbal history that you guys used?
Just a verb. Yeah,
Okay.
just a verbal history. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, to this day we still use some of that language, but
Oh, I love that.
Especially if Al wants to use a cuss word, he'll revert back to that.
How fun.
to this day, which is pretty amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah, I mean, sort of famously, as you said, Al does not cuss, he does not swear. And I know in the New York Times Magazine article, they asked Suzanne, his wife, and she said she'd never heard him swear. And Dave and I have talked to Joel Miller, of course, who is Al's friend from college, and I'm sure you guys know each other. And he said he thinks Al has sworn a handful of times, but I know Al disputes those. Can you, Mike, you're friends with him when Al was just a teenager in middle school and high school.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear in your memory Al actually swear?
Nope. Never.
Incredible.
I can testify.
Wow. That's incredible.
I testify, Your Honor.
Now you imagine if Al's mother got upset over the Dixie cups, how upset
Right.
she would have been had she heard Al cursing. So I think I understand.
Yeah.
Where this is coming from.
Well, one word, and I can't ever remember what the meaning was SB. So we would say the word SB, and Al's mom thought we were saying SOB. So I went further down the list of people that were able to be close to Al.
Her background check was wrought with mistakes.
It was a little faulty.
This Mike Solton poking holes in cups and
Right.
SOB.
Right. Exactly.
Oh wow. What would you say about Al's parents? Unfortunately, I've never got to meet them, but everything I've heard Al say and anyone else we've spoken to who knew them said nothing but absolutely incredible things about them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Al's parents they were always very nice to me. His dad was very gregarious and laughed a lot. And his mom was, as I mentioned, pretty introverted and didn't speak much. but she was always friendly to me. I ran into them, many times at Al's various concerts through the years.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so it was nice saying hi to them. It's like, oh, you're that Dixie Cup guy.
They start running away.
Yeah. But yeah, they were always very, very kind to me
Oh, that's so great to hear.
and let me in the front door.
Right.
And so back then is, Al's famous Belvedere cruising. We would go Belvedere cruising, and as I mentioned about the registration, which is kind of a weird thing that I had, but
Yeah, so Mike, just to inform the audience, off the air we were talking. You were recently going through some of your items, and you have the actual car registration from Weird Al's parents' Belvedere car.
Yes.
So that's what you're referencing when you say that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And you don't know how you came in possession of that.
I don't know. It appeared in my closet one day, and I texted Al a photo of it and said, "This is kind of strange. Look what I have." And I said, "If I ever get poor, I'll sell it on eBay, and I'll be able to eat for at least a few days."
You can just sell it to Dave and I directly, Mike. You don't need to go through eBay.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, and we're taking out the middleman.
That's right.
That's right, yeah.
That's so crazy. So when Al would drive, I've heard stories of him driving with like his foot out the window. And did he do crazy stuff like
Yeah,
that?
he did. He liked to get a little attention. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Did you guys ever get in an accident or anything bad happen like that? Okay.
No. Yeah, he was a very cautious driver.
Yeah.
Played by the rules.
Well, hold on. I don't know that putting your feet out the window while you're driving is playing by the rules.
Yeah, with that exception.
Okay. That was the one exception.
That was the one exception, right? So my car the car that I had one of these big old Mercury Comets. And in Belvedere cruising, there's a line that said, "There's something about a comet that makes me want to vomit."
Oh, yeah.
And so it could have been a shout out to me or a vomit out to me.
Right.
How cool.
His comment about vomit.
That's so great.
But anyway, yeah, we used to drive to comic book stores looking for Mad magazines.
Oh, like back issues? Or the current issues?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It was mostly the back issues, yeah. There was one comic book store in Compton we used to go to. And then in 1976, our family took a bicentennial trip to the East Coast, and we went to New York City, and we got to go to the Mad Magazine headquarters on Madison Avenue, and
Wow.
got a tour of Mad Magazine. And I got a personalized drawing from the Spy versus Spy artist.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, very cool.
Was
And then-
Al on this trip with you, or was this you? Your family?
It was just a family trip. But the way it ties in is, so after Al got on the cover of Mad Magazine, he told me he was so jealous back then that I got to go to the Mad Magazine headquarters, but I think he's okay now.
Yeah. The only guest editor in Mad's history
Right.
on the cover.
Right. Yeah. So I think he got over it, but
Yeah.
so continuing with the Mad Magazine theme, then I saw Al play at Carnegie Hall and ended up sitting next to Sam Viviano, he worked for Mad Magazine, digital illustrator. And he, I guess, was an artist who worked on the illustrated Al book.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Uh-huh. So another Mad Magazine connection. So
Wow.
that's interesting.
You know, Mike, one thing I'm curious about is Al's bedroom. We have seen, recreations of Al's bedroom, like in Weird the Al Yankovic Story. How true to life were those depictions, and what do you remember about, how he decorated or the kinds of things he was collecting?
We need to pause the interview right there, but we will be back next episode with more from Mike Solton. We knew when we sat down with Mike that he would share some amazing gems, and he sure did not disappoint. This is just a small taste of our extended interview with Mike, and we cannot wait for you to hear his incredible stories about Weird Al's early career as they unfold over the next several episodes.
This episode is brought to you in part by Discover Darwin, promoting tourism in Darwin, Minnesota. Not only is historic Darwin, Minnesota beautiful, it also smells fishy.
Darwin Rod and Gun Club is holding their annual Fish and Smelt Fry on Friday, March 14th.
The event is all you can eat, and they will be serving from 11 a.m. twine ball time until gone twine ball time.
This year there is a new menu including deep fried smelter fish, homemade potato salad, beans, onions, bread and butter, and coffee.
Although extra fish and smelt was ordered this year, as always, we recommend you get there early, possibly even camping out a few days beforehand if you can.
Dine in, drive up, and take out are available.
The cost for adults is $17, children under 12 are $7, and children under 5 are free! And as always, remember, whoever smelt it dealt it.
In addition, takeout orders are $17 and containers will be provided.
What a deal!
So visit Darwin, Minnesota on your next all-you-can-eat expedition. Discover Darwin, more than just the twine ball. And after you visit Darwin, Minnesota, be sure to attempt to visit www.discoverdarwin.biz.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast is brought to you absolutely free thanks to our incredible sponsors, Burrito, Wizard Burger, our very own Jackson Scoggins, Discover Darwin, and our very own Kenneth Crazy Ken Gwinnett. Our podcast is also supported by everyone else in our Patreon family, with extra special thanks to our very own close personal friend level Patreon supporters, Blair, Matt T, Zach Casper, Scotto Brothers, Allison, Weird Stream Date Nancy, Ajax, Javier, Devlin, Dana B and Beaker, Yanko Chick 38, Ron, Adriana Banana Yugovich, UH Jeff, Casey Killingsworth, Zeb, and Kev Messick. Also thanks to Chad Kelson, aka Mental L, Patrick Gaffney, Aaron R, Tony G, the newest member of our Patreon family, Bradley M, and everyone else in our pretty stinking majestic Patreon family.
If you enjoy our Weird Al podcast, as heard in the Weird Al Yankovic Story commentary track, please consider supporting us over at patreon.com/2000inch. There are really awesome benefits like getting your name read on the podcast, your own private RSS feed, which gives you access to each and every one of our bonus episodes, and the self-satisfaction of doing something important with your otherwise pitiful, meaningless existence. And don't forget to check out our official merchandise shop over at shop.2000inch.com. All proceeds from purchases go directly towards supporting our fine podcast.
We love hearing from our listeners and other Weird Al fans, so be sure to join our Facebook community at group.2000inch.com and visit our Discord server for even more riveting Weird Al and Red Rum to Goody related conversations. You can find both of them linked on our website, as well as information about past episodes and guests over at 2000inch.com or weirdalpodcast.com.
Keep up on new episodes, podcast news, and events by following at 2000inch on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts so you do not miss a single episode. Not only does subscribing help the podcast, your uvula will be all shiny and new.
Yeet! Plus, we also love it when we receive voicemail of our official patent-pending 27-hour-a-day podcast hotline, 347 Spatula. That number is 347-772-8852. Give it a call or a text, and you might even hear your message in a future episode.
Thank you again to the amazing Mike Solton for joining us this episode. A huge thank you also to Summer Woods for stopping in and telling us about her new album. We'd also like to thank Brian A. Miller, Mike Minnick, Aaron 3D Henry, Samantha Evans, Jill Hinton, Chewy, Summer Cats, Kitty, Kurt Sandvig, Matt Kelly, and Matthew Milligan of the Weird Algorithm Podcast, Johnny O'Hearn, Jeff Morris over at dmdb.org, our very own Jeff Nucera, our very own Kenneth Crazy Ken Gwinnett, and our very own Claire Walsh.
Thank you to the Grammy Award-winning Jim Kim-OS for our incredible podcast theme song, and thank you to Weird Al Yankovic, as this podcast probably would not exist without him. Thank you also to John Bermuda Schwartz, Steve J., Ruben Valtierra, Jay Levy, and the irreplaceable Joe Jaffa. And a big thanks to all of you, our loyal listeners, subscribers, Patreon supporters and sponsors, and everyone else who makes our podcast possible.
Be sure to tune in next episode for the second part of our interview with Mike Solton.
Thank you for choosing Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. And until next time, remember to gill and chill, keep listening to Weird Al, and stay cheesy.
You know how Al's Facebook account got hacked? Well, I was thinking about that, and I have a confession to make.
You hacked Weird Al's account?
No, of course not. Don't be ridiculous.
Okay, well, what's the confession?
Remember when I told you I knew Pauly Shore? That's a lie. I don't know what I said that for.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 253-inch.
No, seriously, I do not know Pauly Shore.
I can't tell you the meaning of air. That I'd have to kill you.